Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you.
Now, before we start, I'd just like to mention Sam Silcock unfortunately won't be joining us as he and his team have declined to be interviewed. What made you feel compelled to run for president of the UTS Students Association for 2020?
The university is putting more pressure on the Students Association and trying to take away a little bit more of our independence, which is why I think it's really important to actually have someone who actually has been involved in leadership positions, has actually been heavily involved in the Students Association for quite a long time. I have been in meetings with the university, I know how they operate, I know the sort of things that they are trying to get around, like for example, when it comes to lecture recordings, right? I think it's also a bit of a joke that as a University of Technology, we're one of the few universities that doesn't actually standardise and record all lectures. Where is our face-to-face consent training? Where is our centralised reporting system? Why are we sort of doing a reporting system where you can report it to security or you can report it to mental health facilities? When it comes to work, I think a lot of academics still kind of think that, you can go to university full-time and just work part-time. And most students know that's not really actually a reality. That there isn't really that ability to kind of go, okay, I can study full-time and work full-time, and the fact that they are going home at 9 p.m. at night, it's just not accessible to them. And if they were able to say, watch a lecture at home, come in for their tutorial, that's much more accessible for them. I think that we need to make sure that we don't become just a service model, that we make sure that while it's important to engage students, it's also important to engage students on issues that they care about, and being able to run campaigns that go beyond sort of just providing or expanding on the services we already have. You have other universities that have been having Bettina Arndt come onto campus, who basically says that there's a fake rape crisis going on at universities. What happens when people like that are allowed onto campus by the university under the guise of free speech is that it's actually a danger to students. What happened on those campuses happened to friends of mine. We don't want these people on our campuses. We don't want this kind of opinions to start and start endangering sort of specifically women. I think that we need that left-wing feminist voice, because I've made those points to the university, and I want to push us on both our education reform, but also making sure that we are at the forefront of making sure that we're dealing with consent in a really respectful but clear manner.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the gender neutral bathrooms campaign, for example. That was something that I was incredibly proud that our university was willing to do that, and was actually willing to step up and say, do you know what, we are a left-wing university, and we believe that everyone is entitled to feel safe and included on campus, and make sure that they can go to a bathroom free of harassment. And what the university said was, when we put it to them, they said, there's no support. The students don't support it. And what ended up happening is we went around to various lectures and we got people to sign on, and we proved to the university students actually they do want to support their non-binary and their trans friends and people that don't necessarily assign themselves with a particular gender.
What sets Freshen Up apart from the Empower campaign?
Experience is one. I think also we have some great, when I say left-wing and feminist, we have a lot of members of the Women's Collective running on our ticket. I think there is a major policy difference. I think we want to make sure there are a lot of quite left-wing ideas that we're wanting to put out there that we've seen other universities successfully do. I, for example, want to see pill testing done on campus, because I think that safety should be a huge priority for the Students Association. I also think, face-to-face consent training is something that has not been talked about on the other tickets. We have a real lack of culture on this campus, and even the university knows it. What I have been investigating this year, and hopefully if I get president, I would like to actually see it enacted, is having a moonlight cinema. So we hire out a screen, we put beanbags down, and we do some headphones on, and we can watch Erin Brockovich for the Environment Collective. We can watch Thelma and Louise for the Women's Collective, and make sure that students are actually staying on campus, engaging, having the noodles that we provide as a Students Association. But yeah, I think that's a really good opportunity for us to advertise as well to students and go, sign up to the Women's Collective, sign up to this, come and see us if you've got an academic misconduct, come and have breakfast. You only have to read UTS confessions and see people that talk about going through 4 years of university and never talking to anyone. people are wanting greater connection. They're wanting greater sense of community.
If you have to say in 25 words or less why someone should vote for you.
Okay, I would encourage all students to vote for Freshen Up because we are not only the most experienced team, but I also just provide a wealth of knowledge, and my team is really ready to sort of, I guess, shake up and reshape what we're already doing and building on it, but also making sure that we actually have some deliverable outcomes in the future. We see things that students actually want and will use and will be able to associate with their student association that isn't just free food in the mornings or in the afternoons. And I think that like my experience has already shown like how engaged and how much I already care about the student association, and I think that we need someone who's already engaged with it, who knows what the procedures are, who knows how to talk to the university and say this is what students want. And that's why I think we should vote for like the most experienced feminist and left-wing